Hi, Clayton speaking. Welcome to StickySims. This is where I love to build and play The Sims. Today I'm taking a break from my projects that I had started about a month ago. Been working on rebuilding Glimmerbrook and this base game save file project. That's probably going to take a good while, but anywho, let's talk about this build, Clayton. I took part in a Apocalypse collab. It was hosted by Nasena on Velvet Bee's Cat Cafe Discord server. The idea was that we're gonna basically remake the calm, cozy Newcrest that you know and turn it into like an apocalyptic Newcrest. So we were just trying to, populate the world with different lots, houses, businesses, with our own little take on, post-apocalyptic world life, what it would be like for our Sims. I'm building on Comfy Cubby. It is the lot at the very, very top of the map world screen for Newcrest. Before I actually worked on this lot, I actually had made two Sims first, like a couple that I was going to think of who was going to live here and what part, I guess, they would play in this neighborhood that we're remaking. I actually have a video about them coming out soon, so stay tuned. A little sneak peek, you can see them right there in the bottom left. But basically, my thought is, when it's a post-apocalyptic world, everyone is, of course, going to be, super focused on all the things that we need for survival, right? Food, water, clothing, shelter, electricity, all of the usual things. So my thought is this couple is, I guess we're picking up on their story a few years in. So we kind of have, not necessarily civilization, but we do have, we have organization, we have systems in place, so that we can, continue on as a species, I guess. So in that mindset, I was thinking these two would kind of be, I'm calling them the culture champions. Basically now, since we've survived this far, now we should try our best to try to, maintain our humanity and not just turn into animals, you know what I mean? So the build, right. I was inspired by a homes that I saw in the warehouse district of New Orleans. I kind of wanted them to live in not a, traditional looking home. I kind of was thinking that they would live in a schoolhouse or what used to be maybe a library. So I just did a really big brick building. Here, wait, I think I have a reference picture. Here we go. So you can see I stick with the red brick, the blue shutters, the white accents. Of course, it wouldn't feel like New Orleans if we didn't put a little balcony with the black iron fence. So I will say, though, one of my favorite parts of building something inspired by the warehouse district of New Orleans was I knew that I could really just go ham on the windows. It felt kind of bass-ackwards, but I actually did I think it was a tall or a, no. Either short or medium walls on the first level, but then the second level I did tall. So I just kind of had a lot of extra room for different windows, glass, stuff like that. Now, I did say, at the beginning, this is part of an Apocalypse collab, so it's supposed to look kind of rundown, dingy, apocalypse movie type feel. The approach that I took was, let me just put up a building that I like the way it looks, and then you'll see later on, more towards the end of the video, I actually go back and I start deleting things, adding dirt, adding, different little bits of details and taking things away, adding things to make it look a little bit more rundown. At this point in the build, I do remember I was very happy with myself that I picked a 20 by 15 lot, one of the smaller size lots, because this idea that I had with it being warehouse district and a school, I very easily could have gotten taken away. Lately, I've been kind of challenging myself to not overthink my builds and not let myself fall into analysis paralysis, so to speak. And I can proudly say I did not do that with this build. Yay! Anyways, a part of me really wishes that, I guess, the timing would make sense, but, I'm making the speed build ahead of time. I don't want to release anything until, everyone releases the whole collab kind of situation, which a part of me was when I was starting to record the intro, the little cinematic pieces that I like to include with my speed builds. I was man, I really wish I could have waited to have done this once everybody else is built, so I could have loaded them in and you could actually see what the neighborhood looks like. But alas, I cannot, like I said, the timing. So If you're just now finding out about this, the tour has probably already happened. I'll make sure to put a link in the description to Nasena's YouTube, where she'll definitely probably be posting it, just in case, you weren't able to make the live stream. Now, let's see. Let me reel myself back into where I am with this video. Okay. So now we're kind of creating more of the facade for it. Now, at this point, I'm picturing, my culture champions are going to be the ones that collect books, help preserve history. I think Yvette, the lady sim that I made for this build, my thought is maybe she used to be a teacher. So the way she contributes to the community is she, helps teach. So she helps make sure that teach kids to read. And then her boo thing, Vaughn, he used to be a civil engineer. So he's big up with leaders in the community, right? Because he's a good consultant for different things and ideas, strategies, and such like that. But ultimately, he does spend a lot of his time helping his wife, hunt down texts and different things. And he doesn't necessarily help with the school thing as much, but he definitely helps with setting up events and different things for the community, Gotta keep the humanity alive. Now, let's see. The roof, there were many iterations of the roof. I actually watched a buddy Chicken Pop Sims' video that he did of this factory home, and I kind of used that and stole a few ideas of using half walls and the roof pieces to kind of create that effect. The only problem is halfway through the build, and I don't know what exactly it is that I did, but the roof trim was very inconsistent. Ran into a couple glitches where when you put the roof into the half wall, it doesn't show part of the trim. You'll probably also see it a little later. I ran into this weird visual glitch with the trims that you can use on the exterior, but I used them on the inside, and that caused a little weird looking, looked like a lighting glitch, but anywho, I'm laughing at myself now because I sit here and I remember putting in these little chimney pieces, but I'm laughing because I don't think I actually I didn't put a fireplace in here, so they're just for show. Right, so at this point, I was actually starting to, I guess, realize that I was overthinking exactly what I wanted the roof to look like. I kind of had to take a step away, and then I remembered, Clayton, you're going to go back in and you're going to completely change a bunch of different things to make it look apocalyptic, right? So quit tweaking out over the roof. Now, one of the things I do mention, in case you do want to use this build in your own, saves, the Sims do spawn in the street in the front, but I did build this with the front door and the mailbox to the side, kind of facing this little canal piece. Now, don't worry. I did play test this build, and they're still able to, your Sims are still able to access everything that they need to access. It's just the gallery picture takes it from a weird angle, and sometimes trees get in the way, but that's kind of partly my own fault for picking this lot, but I'm trying to think of what you would call this style, and I guess it's French colonial kinda with the balconies and the steepness of the roof, I guess. I don't know. I was thinking here at this point, like I said, I was reminding myself, you're gonna go back and make this look run down. I figured there would be a row of trees, but then one of them fell on this side particularly with the little bump outs. My thought is that a tornado went through, so then I picked one little spot that I really wanted everything to kind of look broken, was boards up and missing shutters. I did use base game windows for the most part of this build, so I didn't really have cracked window options. We do get some cracked window options with I believe it's werewolves, and life and death is the big one that's coming to mind. They have these greenhouse looking panels, and you can use swatches that are broken. I did end up using a werewolf's roof that kind of has patchiness and little accidental skylights in it. I do that more towards the end. Now, okay. So talking about the layout. Now, I still kept the first floor schoolroom. So I put a little classroom in there, and I put in some bookcases to kind of create the little library learning space. And then I did a lofted kind of studio, a studio loft, I guess you could call it. Not with anything too fancy, but I did make sure that you would have, if you wanted to use this lot and live there, you would have everything that you need. place to sleep, a computer, a kitchen, a fridge, you know, a bathroom downstairs. I even forgot there's this like DIY looking shower thing. I think it's Outdoor Retreat that I used in the bathroom. Like, it is pretty cool that there's a bunch of things in the game that we can use from various different packs to all achieve this, you know, rundown, you know, dingy, dirty look. The other pack that I'm thinking of is one of my favorite packs actually for rent. I know there's a lot of, you know, controversy about that pack right now with people's save file corruptions and such, but in a nutshell, it is still one of my favorites. I love that it brought, you know, the apartment to us, and more than that, I actually really love there's these like painting decorations that literally look like mold and dirt, so you can put it all over the wall. I used so many of those. Especially since I went with white windows on the bottom, it made it like really pop out to kind of give that illusion of it being dirty and worn down. Now, I will say the majority of like the dirtying up and the making it look apocalyptic, I mostly did that on the exterior. If we're going to be, you know, living inside and we're also going to be, you know, keeping books and hosting class for kids, it needs to be, you know, mostly clean and put together as best we can on the inside. So I tried to keep it cozy, tried to keep it with the, you know, like more like modern day library vibes. Just, you know, it's an apocalypse, so of course nothing matches, but that's already my style. So I really jump on these apocalypse collabs. In fact, there's actually another apocalypse collab that I'm about to work on next, now that I'm thinking about it. Probably not gonna have time to do a whole speed build, but keep an eye out. I'll probably do a short on the other apocalypse build. You know, everybody's doing apocalypse collabs this October. So yeah, here we go. Let's see. I did one of my usuals. I like to put cabinets in these little nooks. I just feel like it's kind of a realistic thing. You know, when you have these little nooks in between, you'll put like bookcases and different things. I usually go with cabinets though, just because I don't know about you guys, but I tend to play with the walls cut out. And if you use a bookshelf there, it kind of creates this eyesore. Sometimes I try to build and like be completely mindful of not having to turn your camera, but I mean, it's like a give and take, right? So I want to keep things simpler on the inside, and then it kind of messes up what I've done on the outside, and vice versa. But anyhow, one of the things that I do remember struggling with, or I guess I was fighting with, were the curtains. For some reason, I couldn't find curtains that were like the same length as this longer, taller window panel towards the bottom. My thought was, or I guess my vision was, that there would be curtains over the bottom half of the window and not the top. So you could still kind of get your privacy, but still get the natural lighting from above. But I couldn't find any curtains that fit. Now, in hindsight, of course, I'm thinking I could have just used the tool mod, but I guess I just try not to jump to that too quickly, just because we have so many items in this game. Like, I do use a better build by mod where I can kind of expand the catalog, but still, it's just, we have, you know, hundreds, thousands probably of build assets. And considering how many different curtains we have, I was just shocked that none of them fit like this length that I needed without it, you know, poking out under the bottom. If there was anything, you know, in hindsight that I'm thinking while I'm, you know, watching the speed build and talking about it, I wish that we had like oversized fans so that I could put it at the very top of this like ceiling. I feel like that would be kind of realistic for like a warehouse district type house. There would be like a really big fan, kind of help keep the air moving. I don't know about you guys, but if you've been here down in New Orleans, it gets really hot sometimes. And sometimes it's not even necessarily the heat, but the humidity just makes it like everything just sticky, just so wet. But yeah. So let's see, we did a little balcony out here. I ended up putting this cute little awning. I wish that there was like an awning with a hole in it, but I guess the reality is if something strong enough goes through to ruin an awning, it would just take the whole thing off. Let's see. Oh yeah, I didn't realize until recently that there was actually an air mattress bed. Came with the outdoor retreat pack, so I guess that works if you wanted to build like a little camp kind of thing. The only thing is, you know, when I think of using an air mattress, most of the time I used it in like a really big tent, just to kind of, you know, get you off of the ground, the hard ground. And if you ever play with a tent in The Sims, you don't, like, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't actually like go inside the tent with them, if that makes sense. Like a rabbit hole, I guess is what you would call it. Kind of like the crypts in Life and Death. But anyways, got to use my favorite little desk. I love the little dingy door desk that we got with the werewolves pack. Also use the werewolves plants here and the what is it, the sofa. Anyways, we got like a used up kitchen appliances. I believe that came with the City Living pack. Then I tried to use a bunch of things from like Discover University in high school years, but there was a bunch of really cute decorations that came with the Love Struck pack that kind of just have those bold, bright colors that you would see in like a kid's, classroom type space. As many windows as I've already put in here, I've caught myself wanting to add even more, like in some of the corners, but I knew that I needed to leave at least like one wall without, the just array of windows. Let's see. I did put a dumpster outside, and just a little generic waste bin inside. The one that actually has the freaking like trash bag on it. Now I guess in a post-apocalyptic world, we probably don't have plastic bags anymore because they're probably the problem. But and this cute little bench with an umbrella. I think that came with I want to say the Brindleton Bay pack, the cats and dogs pack. Tried to check in with what it would look like whenever Nasena actually goes to do the tours of these lots, and realized that I had, royally fucked up the ceilings in a bunch of different ways. Which, in hindsight now I'm thinking about it too. I don't think you can actually see the holes in the ceiling, but that's okay. I just wanted consistent ceilings. Yep, I think I just remembered to turn my shaders back on. I like to do this thing when I'm building, not just save to the save file, but I also save to my tray, like to my library regularly, just in case the game decides to crash or something. So I try not to lose my work, kind of like a backup, if you will. But lately I found that sometimes I have trouble saving to the gallery if my shaders are on, and I don't know what exactly that's about. But it's like I'll get a couple errors here and there, I'll turn the shaders off, and then suddenly I can save it, and it's not an issue anymore. I don't know. I mean, technically shaders are not a mod. It's like a completely separate like process procedure against the game, and it's injecting itself in. But anyways, let me quit the rambling. Here I go. So just start picking things off, and then I ended up picking this little second one right here. Figured this would be the most affected part of this build. Figured some of the wrought iron would eventually have been either removed or blown away. Probably not blown away. Now I did replace a couple of things on the balcony, just to kind of add a little bit of dimension to the look and feel of like the dungy apocalyptic build. I'm also realizing now, this is a red, white, and blue build, America. Yeah, and now I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, I don't think any of my teachers that I remember from like grade school, I don't think any of them would have made it in the apocalypse. So maybe this little couple got lucky. Anyways, I got the tour coming up. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope to see you in the next video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You know the deal. It really helps me out. I hope you have a beautiful week. Love you. Bye.